Thank you very much, Chris, for the lovely introduction. First of all, can you hear me loud and clear? I need some confirmation. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, all right, that's amazing. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today in our 60-minute your action via email. We have all experienced a situation whereby we send email to people and we don't really get the responses. Okay, so that is why I think this is actually an important topic. Okay, reason being, as I mentioned just now, we have sent emails and then we don't get the intended responses. All right, the question is, what is actually not quite right? I wouldn't say wrong, okay, because sometimes it is not wrong. What is actually not quite right in the way we send out our emails? What is not quite right in the way we draft out the sentences? So that is what we will be covering in our session today. So what are the project objectives for today? First, we are going to learn to make effective requests to get people to respond. There are times where we send out emails where we make requests, but people don't respond. And we wonder what went wrong. Why don't I get a response to my request? Then the second one, we will learn to create engaging email and make people feel good. This is very important because most of the times when we write email, we forget about the receiver. All we think here is, how do I write my content so that I get what I want? And we forget that we should also take note. We should also make the receiver feel good so that we can get what we want from them. And the third objective for today is keep emails short and simple. This sounds very simple, but the thing is there are some techniques that we can employ so that we can learn to write emails that are meaningful, still connected to the receiver, but short and simple. So this brings us to this question: what are the common issues that we face when we send emails to people? Okay, the first one, it's either we don't always get the response we want. It happens to me, it happens to almost everyone, all right? Or there are delays in getting back from the receiver. Perhaps the receiver gets back after a week or maybe 2 weeks, that's even worse, or no response at all. These are the situations that most of us face. So this brings us to the very first tool that I'm going to introduce today, which is a tool to get people to respond. Okay, now, reasons you haven't gotten a response to your email. Imagine this: after taking the time to draft, you take time to draft, all right? And then you send out an email that you think is good enough, all right? We wonder, why has the person not responded to us, or at least respond soon enough? There are actually many reasons, my dear friends, why we don't get the responses that we want, all right? Now, first one here is probably the receiver actually asks, so what do you need? So what do you need now? Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever experienced getting email from people and then you yourself ask, okay, so what now? What do you need? Have you ever experienced this? If you have experienced, please type Y in the chat. Let's have a look if you have actually experienced this or not yet. Anyone? Yes, yes, all right. So you feel that what this person actually needs from me. You feel that there is no clear objective. Now, the second one here is you have no time to read. You get the email and it looks so lengthy, and what you did is you just scanned through and you decided, okay, I'm going to read this later when I get back home. And what happens? You don't read after that. You forget about it, all right? It happens. And the third point here is, that's kind of bossy. You receive an email, you don't like the tone in the email. That's kind of bossy. So because of that, it stops you from responding, or you hold back your responses. And the final one here is you do not know what to do next with the email. You get the email, all right, so what do I have to do? the reason I ask these questions is because I want you to feel whether you have experienced this. If you have experienced this, chances are other people might also experience this if we send an email to them and if we are not careful enough in the way we draft our email. Now, let's go straight to I'm going to show you an email, a very typical email that we send or we see most of the time in our mailbox, okay? Let's look at this. This is an email sent by Elizabeth to Jenny. Jenny will most likely respond to this email. Maybe Elizabeth is her boss, or maybe Elizabeth is someone that she needs to get back, all right? So Jenny will most likely respond to this email, but there are some issues with this email whereby Elizabeth might not get the response she needs. I repeat, okay? Look at this email. We will go through it later, all right? There are some issues in this email, all right, whereby Elizabeth might not get the response she needs. There are three important elements lacking in this email that would otherwise make it more effective when making a request. Okay, now I'm going to read this email. Listen to this. Hi, Jenny. I refer to the previous phone call we had on the change of our shipment policy. Please be informed that after much discussion with Mr. Tony, we will finally proceed with the changes as mentioned earlier. As we are running out of time, I would appreciate it if you could proceed with the necessary changes as discussed over the phone the soonest. Thanks. Regards, Elizabeth. So this is a very typical, a very common email that we get in our mailbox. Okay, and as I mentioned just now, there are some issues in this email in the way Elizabeth writes that might cause her not to get the response that she wants. Okay, so how do we craft an email which is not like this? How do we craft an email so that we can get the response that we want? I'm going to introduce to you the very first tool for today. The tool that I'm going to introduce is meant to change this email so that we will get the response that we need. The tool is known as the MAT technique. M-A-T, MAT technique. So what does M-A-T stand for? Now, M here is mutual understanding. I'm going to explain to you in details what do I mean by mutual understanding. But MAT technique, the first one here is mutual understanding. The second one is action details. And the third one here is time specific. So this is what we call as MAT technique or MAT method, whereby if we use this method in writing our email, we will most likely get response that we want, not any kind of response, okay? So looking at this email over here, there are some issues. And what are the issues? Look at the words highlighted in red, okay? So in the first paragraph, if you look carefully at this email, focusing on the words in red, they are rather vague. They are rather vague. This is very common, especially when we are dealing with people we are constantly in contact with via email. Okay, we take things for granted. We meet this person now and then, or we are we make calls with the person from time to time. So we assume that the person understands when we send an email. Okay, so there is a general assumption that the person on the receiving end understands or remembers the details that we are referring to. Okay, but what we don't realize is, pay attention to this, listen very carefully. But what we don't realize here is that, okay, by writing an email this way, by writing an email this way, what we're actually doing is we expect the person, we either expect to get slow response or no response at all. Why? The reason is because we are assuming that this person knows everything. Okay, there are no clear instructions in this email. This is the fact that I need all of you to realize, even myself. There are no clear instructions in this email. So using the MAT method or the MAT technique, how can we get Jenny to respond in a way where we get the response that we want from her? Now, let's go to what I mentioned first. M, which is mutual understanding. Now, as a sender, okay, as a sender, we need to make sure that there is mutual understanding between us, okay, the sender and the receiver. We need to make sure there is mutual understanding first between us, the sender, and the receiver. So the receiver, which is Jenny, okay, the receiver, which is Jenny, needs to understand what you are actually referring to. All right, never assume that the receiver understands and remembers what we are talking about. Never ever assume that. Okay, so why is mutual understanding important in an email? Because we want to make sure that the receiver understands what you are talking about first. If we refer to the email that Elizabeth sent to Jenny, there is an assumption that Jenny remembers the phone conversation. There is an assumption that Jenny knows what Elizabeth is talking about. But how sure is Elizabeth? Jenny might be bombarded with all kinds of emails. While reading that email, Jenny might be doing something else, perhaps checking her phone, or maybe while walking, because now we check email while walking, all right, okay? So we need to make sure that the receiver understands what we are talking about, okay? So what happens when there is lack of mutual understanding? Which means what happens if the email that we sent is not properly understood by Jenny? This is what Jenny will feel. She feels that she needs to ask for some clarification. Don't be surprised, because we're living in a world of dramatic distractions. We forget very easily. We could have a conversation yesterday or even a couple of hours ago, but not everything gets registered into our brain. Okay, so Jenny might forget some details. So because of that, Jenny feels that, oh dear, what did actually Elizabeth mention to me over the phone just now? It looks like I have to recall, and I was doing something as I was talking to her. So Jenny missed out some of the details. Because of this, Jenny might not respond promptly to the email. There might be a delay, or she might procrastinate it. Okay, now if you look at this email, I'm going to show a screenshot. I'm going to show an excerpt of this email to make you see how vague it is. Hi Jenny, I refer to the previous phone call we had on the change of our shipping policy. So Elizabeth assumes that Jenny remembers the phone call. Please be informed that after much discussion with Mr. Tony, we will finally proceed with the changes as mentioned earlier. So Jenny might be thinking, oh dear, I don't remember, what are the changes? All right, so this shows that there might be some lack in mutual understanding. Okay, there might be some lack in mutual understanding because Elizabeth assumes that Jenny remembers it, but we should never remember that. So what can we do? What can we do to overcome this situation? How can we establish mutual understanding first? Now, look at this. This is the email, the excerpt of email that I showed earlier. Okay, so there's nothing wrong in sending this kind of email. Okay, there's nothing wrong in sending this kind of email. But if you want to get a prompt response from Jenny, it will be very helpful if we, the sender, recap for Jenny, recap for the sender some of the previous points that we have, perhaps that we had through the phone conversation, or maybe we had in the previous emails. Why is this helpful? As I mentioned just now, do not assume that the person remembers the details of the conversation. Or perhaps we might assume, nah, Jenny can check the previous emails because it's all in there. But how do we know that Jenny is going to do that promptly? Jenny might be in the midst of something, she might abandon it and she forget it because she feels that it's taking time to go through all the past emails. So make it easy for the receiver. So add in some information that will help to establish mutual understanding between you and the receiver. Okay, so this is how it should sound like. Hi, Jenny. I refer to the previous phone call we had on the change of our shipping policy. Please be informed that after much discussion with Tony, there are 3 changes that we're going to make. So you're moving out from vagueness. You're not vague anymore. You're reminding her of the changes, which are 3 of them. Okay, the changes are the type, the date, and the price of the current shipment policy. So in this way, by inserting some extra details, you can be sure that the likeliness for Jenny to get back to you promptly is higher compared to leaving her scrambling and thinking of what were the previous discussions. Any questions up to this point? Any questions? I don't want to be going too fast. If there are no questions, you can type N in the chat. If not, I will go on to the next point. Okay? All right, thank you, PK. Right, so the first step here is to make sure that there is mutual understanding by sharing the previous details of the conversation or the email. Make it easier for the receiver to recall what was discussed earlier. Now, the second thing here is, the second point here is to have action details. This comes to the second point, which is A, M-A-T. A stands for action details. Clearly written action details save the receiver's time. I want you to imagine this. Imagine receiving an email from your boss, okay? You get an email from your boss asking for a list of customers' account for the past 6 months. So you, being a very diligent worker, go about gathering all the information, sorting the data into size of client, location of offices, how often or frequency and the types of sales, the contact information, and so on. Why do you do that? Because your boss asked for all the details. That is your assumption, right? Once you have got all those and printed the document and present it to your boss says, look, Susie, I just need a 1-page overhead containing a client's name for tomorrow's meeting. Boom. And you'll be thinking, the hours that I spent searching all gone. They all went into the drain. Okay? So that is why stating the action detail is very, very important. We have all been in this kind of situation. People ask something, we overdo it because we are fearful of not meeting what the person wants. So we overdo it or we underdo it. Okay? So when we state the action details, we help the receiver to know exactly how much needs to be done. Now, clearly written action details save the receiver's time. Why? Because we don't leave the person guessing or trying to recall. Okay, we don't leave the person guessing what to do. How much do I need to do? Or recall, that day she mentioned to me to do this and to do that. How much am I supposed to do? This much or this little? So, and another point here is everyone appreciates some steps that guide their next course of action. Everyone appreciates some steps that guide their next course of action. Now let's look at the email which was sent by Elizabeth to Jenny, which was rather vague. First, she assumed that Jenny understood what she needs, what kind of information she needs. And then secondly, Elizabeth assumes that Jenny knows exactly how much to do the task she wants her to do. Look at this sentence. Email continued, all right? As we are running out of time, I would appreciate it if you could proceed with the necessary changes as discussed over the phone the soonest. Look at the word, the necessary changes. Now the poor Jenny is left recalling, what are the necessary changes? How much am I supposed to do? So what is a better way to actually address this and make Jenny see how much she is supposed to do? Listen to this sentence. As we are running out of time, please briefly state the types of shipment our company provides and the 5 dates. So now she knows types of shipment that she needs to state them briefly. She doesn't need to find all the details of it. Okay, please briefly state the types of shipment our company provides and the 5 dates that we are available for shipment. So in this way, it is very clear that she needs to state 5 dates. She does not need to state more than 5 or less than 5. It's written there clearly, 5 dates. That is the action that she needs to take. Nothing less, nothing more, okay? We will also need to make it clear to them reasons of the changes in our shipping price and the month it takes effect, which is November 2020. So there are 3 actions that Jenny knows she needs to take, and they are very clearly stated. The 3 actions are, number 1, state the types of shipment, how much, briefly. Number 2, she needs to state the dates, how many, 5 dates. And number 3, she needs to explain about the reasons of the changes in shipping price, and she needs to do it clearly. So in this way, it serves as a guideline for Jenny, that she understands what she's supposed to do, how much is she expected to carry out of each action. Now, why do you think Jenny wouldn't want to respond to this email with all the details given? As I mentioned to you, don't always assume that people remember every single details that we give them, especially if it is done through phone calls, okay? Because people might forget and we might not get the response that we want. So to help us to get the response that we want, help them first by being clear with the receiver, okay? So in this way, the receiver is clear of the next course of action. She no longer thinks how much of what to do. There's a question over here. Yeah, very nice. Do not expect people to remember everything. Point to be taken. Yes, thank you very much for the reminder. Yes, it's true. And email continued. Now, this is very important. You have to be time specific. You have to be time specific. Email continued. I'm going to take the last excerpt of Elizabeth's email to Jenny. As we are running out of time, I would appreciate it if you could proceed with the necessary changes as discussed over the phone the soonest. The soonest? Jenny thinks. All right. Now, terms such as soon, immediately, or when you get a chance and as soon as possible signify different time frames to different people. Very different time frames to different people. If Jenny is in midst of doing something, Jenny might think, the soonest is going to be after I complete my work. Or, the soonest is going to be probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow. That's not bad. It sounds still soon to me. After all, that's how I respond to my emails. So Jenny is actually interpreting the soonest from her perspective. That is probably not the soonest, which is according to Elizabeth's time frame. So how can we overcome this situation? How can we make it easier for the receiver to understand when she needs to do it so that we get the response within the time frame? Okay? Instead of using the soonest, which is to you, it is now, but to another person, it is before 5 p.m. today or after I finish the task, you need to be more specific. Look at the sentence in green here. I would appreciate it if you could proceed with the necessary changes as discussed over the phone and send it to me by 23rd August, 5 p.m. So what is the advantage when we mention the deadline here? It actually allows the receiver to set her own deadline. When she sets her own deadline, she knows exactly when she needs to finish it, and she will deliver it before we need it. Problems such as us not getting the response within the time frame that we imagine is because of vague times given, vague time frames given. As I mentioned, immediately, the soonest, or as fast as you can. Those phrases are very vague. Avoid using them. So be time specific. So what are the other ways where you can be time specific? All right. Always state time frames in clear, unambiguous terms, such as at 3 p.m. tomorrow. If you need it soon, if that is your soon, it should be at 3 p.m. when tomorrow. Today by 12 noon. Sometimes we put there today by noon, but to me, noon can still be vague because 1 is still noon. To some people, 2 is still noon. So why don't you add the time by 12 noon? Make it easier for you and for the receiver, all right? Or on Wednesday, 20th January at 10 a.m. That is even clearer, all right? So let's compare the email that we sent, let's compare the email that was sent by Elizabeth in the beginning, which was rather vague, compared to the second email with the details using the MAT technique. Remember, M means establishing the mutual understanding. A here means having the action details so that the receiver knows how much to do of what. And T here means being time specific. So let's compare the two emails. This is what we get, all right? Look at these two emails. Look at the first one and the second one. If Jenny were you, would you likely to respond to the email which is in the white background or in the green background? The answer is definitely in the green background. If you get an email, which is the first one on the top, there is a sense of anxiety in you because you start to wonder, oh no, what was the earlier conversation we had? Oh no, where were the notes? I've written them down. I have to search for the notes now. Or I'm not clear on certain things. Do I need to ask Elizabeth again? Will she be angry with me, or will she think that I'm inefficient because I keep on asking? So we don't want the receiver to feel that way. We make it easy for the receiver first by giving all the needed information, avoiding vagueness. In this way, we will get the response within the time frame that we want, the response that we need, and most importantly, it will encourage the receiver to get back to us. Right. So this is the first tool. This is the first tool that we can use, which is known as a MAT method or technique, where we make sure that, I repeat, we make sure that there is mutual understanding, there is action details, and there is specific time frame so that we will get the action that we want from email. Okay, so the learning summary for the MAT method: never assume that the receiver remembers the details of previous discussion. Because we're living in a world of dramatic distraction, remember that one moment you can remember one thing, the next moment a call comes in, you forget everything. Or if you don't forget everything, we might forget at least 50% of the discussion, okay? And second thing here is use specific action terms that guide the receiver, what to do, how much to do. For example, explain briefly. Look at the word explain briefly. So in this sense, the receiver knows that.
I think there is an interruption. Okay, right. I think I lost you about 5 seconds. Okay. Okay, now it's good. It's better now. No, the interruption is back again. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Zeheera.
Oh.
I think it's your mic, Z. Your hands free.
Give me a moment. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so you can hear me, right?
Yes, clear.
Okay. I think I have got to remove this. Okay, all right. So the learning summary, okay, use specific action items that guides the receiver to understand how much of something that they need to do. All right, state in detail, so you know when you state something, the receiver needs to put in a lot of details into it, or make it clear, so the receiver understands that she has to make certain things clear. All right, now the last one here is a T, which is be time specific. Mention the specific deadline because it helps the receiver to set deadline by stating the specific time that we want it to be accomplished. So that is the first tool to get response from the receiver. So when we send email and we use this technique, most likely we're going to get response that we want to get, that we want to hear from the receiver. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is engaging the expressive style. Okay, now in engaging the expressive, to engage in the expressive style, right, we will focus on the emotion aspects. We will focus on the emotion aspects of the receiver. Oftentimes, we are so focused on what we need to say to the point that we forget what also motivates people to move into action is the way we make them feel as they read our email. So in Engage the Expressive Style, we will learn to be more expressive. And when we are being more expressive, we are indirectly being gently persuasive. So you might get people to do things that you want them to do, besides the MAT method that I've just introduced just now. Now, this brings us to the feel-good responses. Now, in the feel-good responses, when we make, let me introduce to you first this tool, which is the feel-good responses. People who adopt the feel-good responses are very likely to receive responses that mirror their energy level. When you feel good, when you send an email where you use when you're enthusiastic, why do you think people would not want to respond to you in the same manner? Okay, so you are sending the feel-good feeling to them. Now imagine people who rely on very formal language in their email, and they hope people to get people to take some actions after reading the email. Chances are, the sentence structure and the choice of words that are used are going to make them sound either too serious or worse, bossy. We have all experienced this. Getting emails that sound a little bit too serious or bossy. But in reality, that is not what they want to convey. That is not what they are conveying. Okay, it is the impression that we have on them. So how do we get people to feel good? How do we get people to feel good as they read our email? Now, when we send an email to people, to anyone, always focus on providing the solution, not stating the problem. We will go through later. How can we state the, how can we provide the solution and not state the problem, okay? And then the next one here is use enthusiastic tone. Yes, that is one thing about writing in a very formal language. It somehow limits our ability to be more expressive, to be more creative, and we tend to be too formal and we can't show our enthusiasm, all right? So use enthusiastic tone. For example, that is fantastic. It is amazing to know that. So those are all tones that show we are enthusiastic when we communicate with the other person. Now, positive tone. It is very helpful. And finally, use motivational and appreciation language, such as, you have been very helpful. Now, another reason we use the feel-good responses is because we want to move ourselves away from the robotic sound replies. We want to move ourselves away from the robotic sound replies. I think you can imagine that, okay? Most Malaysians, myself included, once upon a time, used such robotic replies. You know, after all, that was what we were taught at school. Surat kiriman rasmi, formal letter, all right? If you read back, they're really robotic. So when we use the feel-good responses, what we're actually doing is we're doing the opposite. We want to add in human touch. We want to humanize it. We want to add in human touch. We want to make people feel that we are talking and collaborating with them. All right? We want to make them feel that we're talking and we're collaborating with them rather than commanding them to carry out the task. Nobody likes to feel that they are being told to carry out the task. So when we use feel-good responses, they feel that we are actually collaborating with them. And the good news is we are more likely to get action via email when people feel respected, when people feel important, and when people feel we are talking to them rather than commanding them. Now, let's bring back the earlier email that Elizabeth sent to Jenny, but we're going to use the email that we have corrected, okay? Now, look at this email. This is the email that we have corrected. So this email is now much better because it contains, because there is already mutual understanding between Jenny and Elizabeth. Jenny understands and recalls the earlier conversation. Now, this email also tells Jenny how much of what action she needs to do. This email also states when Jenny needs to complete her task. This is perfect. This is nice. Now let's sprinkle in some emotion into this email so that we can get Jenny feel that she is collaborating with Elizabeth and she is not working underneath Elizabeth. So when people feel that way, they're more likely to respond to you in a more favorable responses. So the feel-good responses, as I mentioned just now, add in solution, mention solution, not stating the problem, use enthusiastic tone, be positive, use motivating and appreciative language. Now let's look at this. Now, the earlier one, all right, the earlier one. Hi, Jenny. I refer to the previous phone call we had on the change of our shipping policy. Please be informed that after much discussion with Mr. Tony, there are 3 changes that we are going to make. The changes are the type, the date, and the price of the current shipment policy. Now, this is the very first email, which was rather vague, and then we corrected it, okay? And then we corrected it. So how can we make it sound that we are now providing a solution already? Remember that this is not a definite solution. There are many ways of saying it. You may have your own way, but this is what I'm showing you. So we're showing to Jenny that, right, now we have already got a solution after a lot of discussion. So, you know, remove the word after much discussion with Mr. Tony. You don't even need that. That is not even important. That kind of convey a negative feeling after all, okay? So offer the solution and be more expressive. Be more expressive. Hi, Jenny. I've had discussion with Mr. Tony and we can finally proceed with the changes of our shipping policy. Now, feel that this feels more like a human writing an email. You're moving yourself out of the robotic sound, okay? So you're offering a solution instead of repeating or mentioning unnecessary things like much discussion and so on. Now, second one here, recall the email where Elizabeth mentioned, as we're running out of time, please briefly state the types of shipment our company provides and the 5 dates that we are available for shipment. Now look at, as we are running out of time. That sounds a little bit negative again. All right, that sounds negative. Is it necessary for Jenny to know that we are running out of time? Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps it's important for Jenny to know that we're running out of time, but there is a better way to write this out without sounding or without pressuring Jenny, okay? Without sounding negative. How can we do that? How can we make it sound more positive? Look at this. It would be great if you could expedite the matter by briefly stating the types of shipment. So this is an indirect way of saying that, yes, we're running out of time, but you are gently requesting Jenny to expedite the matter. All right? So you're gently telling her that it needs to be done as fast as possible. Okay? All right. So using phrases like, it would be great. It would be great if you could expedite the matter. Now, besides sounding positive, what else can we do to sprinkle in some emotion, making this email sound more like a human rather than having the robotic sound? Motivate and appreciate. So be motivating and appreciative. In the original email, it's written there, I would appreciate it if you could proceed with the necessary changes and send it to me by August 23rd, 5 p.m. Well, that's fine. That's okay. There's nothing terrible about that. We do that. But again, humans love to be appreciated. Humans love when we say things that make them feel good. And this is also one of the ways where we are going to get the response or even faster prompt response from the person if we motivate them. How can we motivate Jenny? Look at this. You have been very helpful in this matter because after all, Jenny has been very helpful from the beginning. Why don't we mention that? All right. So you have been very helpful in this matter and I would appreciate it if you can send it by August 23rd, 5 p.m. Now, these are some phrases that we might find a little bit alien or we don't really use it because we are so used to communicating with this person, all right? Or we just want to cut it short. We want to make it fast. That is fine. But let me tell you, let me repeat this to you. When people feel they are being appreciated, when people feel that they are doing something helpful, when people feel that they're doing the right thing, they will give you more. So this one phrase will do wonders. Let's combine the words that we have sprinkled in the emotion into one email and see how it sounds like. Now, I'm not going to read all, okay? Look at what I've highlighted. I've had discussion with Mr. Tony and we can finally proceed with the changes. It sounds more human. It sounds solution. Without the need to mention discussion, a lot of discussion, yada, yada. We don't have to mention those. Paragraph number 2. Instead of telling, hey, Jenny, we're running out of time, be quick. Get rid of that. It's not necessary. So put it this way. It would be great if you could expedite the matter. Look at how we change the sentence, make it sounding positive. And the final one. As we know, Jenny has been very helpful. So what is wrong in telling her or in motivating her and telling her that she has been very helpful all this while? And trust me, after this, Jenny is going to be even more helpful. So you have been very helpful in this matter, and I would appreciate it if you can send it by August 23rd, 5 p.m. So you can see the difference of how we move out of sounding so formal and robotic into more collaborative. I'm telling you, this email sounds more collaborative because Jenny feels that she has her part in contributing to this task, and she will feel more respected with the phrases that you use. She'll feel more appreciated and motivated. Okay. Now, Let's do some exercises here. I hope we have enough time. Let's look at how we can elicit the good feeling in the receiver. All right. I'm a little bit, I hope that, okay, now let's look at this. I cannot make it. Can you unmute yourself and tell me, how can we make it sound more positive instead of saying, I cannot make it? Look at, I cannot make it. All right. There is such a trigger word with that, I cannot make it. So how can we change this sentence, make it more positive sounding in the email? You have the option of typing, or you can unmute yourself. There's interference. Okay, can somebody unmute yourself? Or you can type it in the chat, don't worry. How can it make it sound more positive? Let's see who we have got over here. Okay, all right. Lin, would you like to try? Or PK Chin, how can we try to make it? I can make it at another time. Yes, good. You have removed it. You have removed the not over there. That's right. Okay. Or I will let you know when I can make it. So what PK Chin mentioned is equally acceptable. All right. The next one, you must submit it today. Now look at the word must. It sounds commanding. It sounds commanding. How can we change that and make it sound more collaborative rather than commanding? Remember, we want to get people to collaborate with us. How can we make it sound more collaborative? It would be great if you can submit it by today. Excellent, Lin. Yes, right. Or I would appreciate it if it is submitted today. All right, both of you are doing really great. Next, please don't delay this matter. Oh my goodness, I think we have seen this many times in our email or even in our conversations, right? How can we change this? Look at the don'ts. That is such a trigger word. How can we change this sounding more positive? Give it a try. Christopher or Grace or Will, you want, okay, your prompt action is appreciative, appreciated. Yes, all right, good. You are actually telling them that, hey, I want to collaborate with you. I really appreciate if you can do it faster, okay? Please don't delay sounds commanding, or please proceed with it soon. Okay, next, we cannot complete it for now. Will, I saw that you raised your hand. Okay, you can type it out in the chat. We cannot complete it for now. Cannot is such a trigger word. How can we change it to I'm good, thanks. Oh, okay. So how can we will complete it by this Sunday. Excellent, Grace. So instead of stating the problem is cannot complete it for now. Remember, receiver doesn't want to know what is your problem. They want to know the solution. So what is the solution? Grace has given the solution. We will complete it by the Sunday, or it is possible for us to complete it after 31st August. Look at the tone, look at the feeling that you get. It's different. It's totally different, okay? Next one, the problem. The problem now is we don't have enough time to do it. Even the word problem sends in a negative feeling in an email because you're telling this is my problem. Remember, people don't want to know your problem. We need more time to complete it. Excellent, excellent. Now I've got a question to ask you. How can we change the word problem while maintaining that it is indeed a problem, but make it sound more positive? It would be great if you could be given more time to complete it, right? That is very good, Grace. She's offering the solution. My question, who would like to try out this? Look at the word problem. There is another way of addressing problem. Yes, Will, you got it right. We are facing some challenges with time. Excellent, Will. All right. Instead of saying problem, there is a better way to tell them, yes, it is a problem, but this problem is not a problem to me. I can do it. So use the word challenge. We are facing some challenges with time. So I hope you take note of all these phrases and words because they change the tone and they make the receiver feel different. Okay. Now, so summary, learning summary for feel-good responses. Number one, Write in a way that make the receiver feel that, receiver feels, all right, that we are collaborating with them, okay? We want them to feel that we are collaborating with them. Move away from negative tone. So negative tone here make people feel that you're blaming or it is a problem, to positive tone by removing the trigger words, like all of you did just now. Excellent. And the final one, get people to feel that their effort is worthwhile. As I mentioned to you, Jenny feels that her effort is worthwhile when Elizabeth wrote there, you have been very helpful all this while, okay? So you can expect response from them. So these are the changes, these are the tools that you should be using in your email if you want to get response to your request, okay? Now, let's move on to the very final tool, which is keys. All right, you have heard about this. Keep it short and simple. But I'm going to share with you how we can keep our email short and simple. Okay, so now, there you go. Identify keywords in sender's email. That is step number 1. Use active sentences. Oops, it's supposed to be step 3, not step 2. Change noun to verbs. Okay, change noun to verbs. Don't worry if you don't know about this, we will go through them. How do we do this? So the first step is identify the keywords in the email. So this is in the situation where we get a reply from the sender. You send an email to the receiver, then the person responds back to you. The person responds back to you. So now you want to send a response again to the person. So when you want to send a response, instead of writing a lengthy email, keep it short and simple. The first thing to do is identify keywords in the sender's email. Okay, so how do we do that? Now look at this. Look at this email. Dear Tasha, this is the response that you get, all right? This is the response that you get. Please be informed that our manager, Albert, has expressed his satisfaction over the explanation you have given and would like to proceed with the program. Could you please propose a program that would be beneficial for our staff at Volvo Malaysia Sdn Bhd? Kindly note that we are looking for a program which is meant for the development and improvement of our staff. Thank you. You get this email, all right? If this email is important to you and you want to persuade this person to take action or engage with you, pay attention to the keywords in this email. Identify the keywords. Now, what does keywords got to do with writing short and simple emails? You'll be wondering, okay? Short, straightforward, and simple emails are emails that are easily read and easy to respond. I repeat, short, straightforward, and simple emails are those emails that are very easily read. You read them easily, and you find it easy to respond to them, okay? Let me tell you one thing. Why identifying the keywords is very important. Because when we want to respond to this person, we want to repeat the keywords that they have written in their email. I repeat, when we want to respond to the person who sent us the email, we want to repeat the keywords that the person mentioned in his or her email. Why? What is the good thing about repeating the keywords that you receive or that you read in the person's email? It is easily recognizable by the sender. So the sender reads back, ah, yeah, this is what I wrote, all right? So it is easily recognizable by the sender, and it gives the impression that you are following up closely with their request, all right? I repeat, it makes the sender feel that, ah, yeah, this is what I've been talking about. She's getting back to me about this, all right? It is easy for him to recognize, and it feels that you are following very closely with their request. Now, I repeat, remember what I mentioned just now, we forget almost very easily. We forget almost very easily. That is why it's helpful when we get reminded. Most of the time, people forget what they emailed us. They forget, all right? Sometimes I forget what I email people. And, you know, because of that, they had to check their earlier sent email to recall what they have requested or promised you. So why not make it simple for them and for yourself? Okay? It is simple for them because it allows them to recollect their memory. When you repeat the keywords, it allows them to recollect their memory, and it is simple for you. Why? Because you don't have to think hard of other words to respond. The words are all displayed to you. Use them back. It is easier for you, okay? So this is a huge advantage that many people miss out. Many people don't realize this, okay? They don't repeat the keywords that they get in the person's email, all right? Did I get any chat over here? Sorry, let me check. Okay, thanks, Will. Right, so remember, we are writing to get response. We are not writing to impress anyone with our writing skills. Myself, being a trainer for communication skills, I will always emphasize to my participants, don't worry about using bombastic languages to impress people. You know why? People are so busy going through the email, they just want to get the main point, all right? They will not be bothered by all those bombastic languages that you use. The worst part is when you try to use some bombastic vocabulary, then the person does not even understand. Do you think he has the time to go through the vocabulary dictionary? Probably not. I just received, and one of my friends just texted me a couple of days ago. He called me Z. Z, can you please tell me what is the meaning of this email? In the email, the person used the word such as hiccups. There were a lot of hiccups in this process. My friend, being someone who don't really have a good command of the language, do not know what is the meaning of hiccups. So he asked me, Z, what is hiccups? So I told him, it means there are some problems. So look, all right, sometimes there are words that people do not know. It is very helpful that we use very easy words because we want to make it fast for everyone, okay? Now, identify the keywords. So what are the keywords in this email? Would like to proceed with the program. Take note, all right? Would like to proceed with the program. That is important for us to know. Propose a program that would be beneficial for our staff at the Volvo Malaysia Sdn Bhd. And the person wants us to develop a program for, to make a program for their development and improvement of their staff. Okay, so you have identified the keywords in that email. So what you do here is you repeat some of the words, some of the keywords, put it back into the introduction to show that, hey, I've listened to you. Now I'm getting back to you what you want. Okay, so this is how you put it. Hi, Nadia. This is your response. This is what was sent to you. You identify the keywords, and this is your response, right? Hi, Nadia. We're glad to know that Albert would like to proceed with the program. Repeat that, okay? We would definitely propose a program that will help to develop and improve the staff of Volvo Malaysia, okay? So you have identified the keywords, and then you put it back into your introduction to show that I'm reconnecting with you. This is what I'm doing, and I'm listening to you. It's easier for you, it's easier for the other person because he reconnects with his earlier email. Now, step number 2 is use active sentences. We have learned at school, perhaps we have left that 20, 30 years ago, active sentences and passive sentences, all right? So active sentences are shorter compared to passive sentences. Look at this sentence. The sentence that I am about to show you is not active, it is passive. This is what we were taught to write at school, Surat Kiriman Rasmi. Now we'll form a letter. It is suggested that the proposed program is carried out in October 2020 on a date that is convenient to you. It is suggested that. That is passive. That is passive. It is long. And it is not natural on your tongue. Nobody speaks using passive when they have conversation. So to make your email shorter and easier to read, use active sentences. So in active sentences, you mention the person first, we, or I, or they, or you. So in this case, we. We suggest carrying out the program in October 2020 on a date that is convenient to you. Now, even if you repeat it to yourself, you can feel it. It's easier to read when it is active sentence. That is what we usually use in our conversation. So, use active sentence, not passive. This is supposed to be good news for those of you who can't write, who struggle making English sentences, because active sentences are very much easier. Okay? Now, so we have removed the passive. We are left with only the active. We suggest carrying out the program in October 2020 on a date that is convenient to you. Then the next step is to change noun to verbs. I'm going very slowly with this. To change noun to verbs. What do I mean by changing noun to verbs? What is noun? Noun means the name of things, or in Bahasa Malaysia, we call it kata nama. Okay? Verbs, they are action. Okay, now look at this sentence. Imagine if you write this. The proposal. Proposal is a noun. The proposal of the program is aimed on the development and improvement of communication and leadership skills among staff of Volvo Malaysia. Proposal is a noun. Development is a noun. Improvement is a noun. Gone were the days where we write this kind of sentences in our emails. Trust me on that. Do away with this kind of sentences. Make your life easier, make the receiver's life easier by changing the noun to verb. Change proposal to verb, development to verb, involvement to verb. How? The program we propose will help to develop and improve communication and leadership skills among staff of Volvo Malaysia. So remember, do away with noun, use verb. This is to clear some of you who might be thinking, how do I write an email? I'm supposed to sound very formal. Yes, you can sound very formal, but still you can do something about it to remove some words to make it shorter. So remember, instead of saying proposal of, development of, improvement of, use propose, to develop, to improve. The meaning doesn't change. So this is where we use verbs instead of noun. Okay, now let's look at the typical response. This is not the good response, right? This is a typical response. The response which I have not done any correction. The response to this email, I'm going to show you this. The response to this email. What is a typical response that a Malaysian will write? It will be like this. Let me show you. Hi Nadia, thank you for your response, and we would like to follow up on your previous email on the proposal of the program for Volvo Malaysia. It is suggested that, passive sentence, that the proposed program is carried out in October 2020 on a date that is convenient to you. The proposal of the program, noun, is aimed at development and improvement of communication, noun, long. Doesn't sound connected, sounds so robot. What would a better response be? Hi Nadia, we're glad to know that Mr. Albert is satisfied with the explanation, and we will definitely propose a program that will benefit staff at Volvo Malaysia. Look at the first paragraph, you are using back the keywords. And when you tell the person that you're glad to know that Mr. Albert is satisfied, you are actually acknowledging, you acknowledge the sender. You're telling that we take note of what you're telling us. All right, you're acknowledging the sender. You're not ignoring that in their email. And then you're telling, Sure, we are going to propose a program that will benefit your staff. Okay, so you're adding in some, you're making the person feel that, right, they are following up with what we request. Paragraph number 2, we suggest carrying out the program. Now you can feel it. It is more human compared to the one above, which is more robotic sound. Okay, now this brings us the summary of this tool, okay, which is the keys tool. Number 1, look for keywords and repeat them in the response. Why? It is easier for the sender to recognize what he has said, and it is easier for you as well to write. It allows both of you to recognize and connect. Okay, point number 2, active sentences are shorter and easier to read than passive sentences. In case if you think you're still wondering what are active sentences are sentences that start with we, they, you, okay, instead of the object at the front. You might want to do some search into English books if you want to find examples of active sentences. Finally, replace nouns with verbs. Instead of saying the improvement of, say improve. The development of, say develop. Make it easier. Okay, so we are now at the end of our session. Give me a few minutes to recap the 3 tools that we have learned for today. Now the first one here is, remember the MET method. When we want to make effective requests, create mutual understanding between the sender and the receiver. Never assume the receiver remembers the details. Point number 2, A, state the action details so that the receiver knows how much of an action that she needs, so that she won't overdo it or underdo it. Either way, you're going to waste the person's time if they underdo or overdo it. So be more specific. Mention what to do and how much to do. And finally, be time specific. Mention the exact time. Do not use phrases like immediately, as soon as possible, as fast as you can, because they will be interpreted differently by different people. So this is to get people to respond. Number 2, to make people feel good, to make people feel that you are collaborating with them instead of making them feel that they're working under you. Offer a solution instead of stating the problem. Use positive tone. We have done some exercises just now. Motivate and use appreciative language. If the person is doing really well, say it. They will appreciate it. Nobody will not like it. They will give more to you. And always be enthusiastic. Use some enthusiastic tone. That is amazing. That is great to hear from you. We are pleased to know that you're happy. Now, those are all enthusiastic tone. It moves you away from sounding too robotic. And finally, when you've done all this, make sure that you connect with the sender when they send an email to you by repeating some of the keywords in their previous email. It helps them to recall what they have stated. It makes them feel that you're following closely with what they're requesting. Use active sentences because active sentences are shorter. Use verbs than noun. With that, we have come to the end of our 3 tools for in 60 minutes of learning. Back to you, Christopher.
Thank you, Z. So before we go to our most exciting part, which is the quiz session, is there any question, Pikechin or Miss Lim to Zeheera? No, I assume no question. So Z, I really enjoy your session.
I'm really. Let me just increase the volume. I can't seem to hear that clearly. Okay, all right. So,
I'm amazed with the tools that you have provided. These are very implementable tools, very easy, and commonly, like everyone should know how to use these tools. And pretty disappointing that we have only not many participants there.
Yes.
Without the board, they have missed out the opportunity to learn how to prepare a very constructive and effective email. So nevertheless, we're going to move forward to our quiz. My dear friends, we have 10 questions in Zeheera quiz session. Okay, so back to you, Z.
Thanks, Christopher.
Okay, I would like to add
Yeah.
to those who win this quiz, you guys going to walk away with a 20 ringgit worth of Starbucks voucher.
Okay, so grab for it. Okay, I'm gonna start now the quiz, and bear in mind that it is going to be a combination of subjective and objective questions, more of subjective questions. So be prepared. You got to remember certain things.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to the first one.
I think I'm going to invite our participant to switch on their video so we get them increase the level of engagement. So if you don't mind, Miss Lim, Mr. PK Chin, yes, and Gurmeet, will to switch on your video. And Grace. Thank you.
All right, so get ready with the questions. Question number 1. What are the reasons people refuse to respond to our emails?
They don't understand.
Okay, right. So this is a subjective question, okay? So as I mentioned earlier, there are some reasons where we don't get the response that we want. We don't get the response that we want. So what are the reasons? I just need you to state for me one reason, okay? Oh, you're saying that they don't understand. Thanks, Lynn. I thought you were saying that you don't understand the question. Yes, you're right, okay? They don't understand the email because it is vague. They don't have time to read. Yes, Grace, you're right. But because Lynn was the first one to give the answer, so yes, Lynn, you got it right. They don't understand because it is vague. Congratulations, Lynn. Now, question number 2, it is going to be an objective question. What does M in the MET method stand for? Pink is miscommunication, green marvelous, orange is mutual understanding, blue is mutual. You gotta spell it correctly. Okay, what does M in MET stand for? Yes, Lin, you're right, mutual understanding. PK Chin is not only mutual, we need to have mutual understanding. You're almost there, okay? But the answer is mutual understanding. Congratulations, Lin. Yes, mutual understanding. Question number 3. Why is mutual understanding important? Why is mutual understanding very important? Develop readership, learn to be productive, get the receiver to understand us. The receiver does not need to seek further clarification. Get the receiver to understand us, not exactly. One more time, one more chance, only one more chance. So Lilin has tried, so Lilin can't try anymore. Develop friendship. Lilin. Okay, since we don't have any other responses, Lilin, it goes to you. Yes. Christopher, how do we go about with this? Okay, do we take the answer from Lilin or PK Chin?
Okay, because Lin, she gave the first answer. The first answer is incorrect. So subsequently, I think Gurmeet gave the answer. I think it's the wrong answer. And then also we accept PK Chin the answer.
Right, PK Chin. Okay. So the receiver does not need to seek further clarification. Remember, all right? When there's mutual understanding, the person is clear about what to do. Okay, she does not need to recall or to call back to us what she needs to do. So the receiver does not need to seek further clarification. Next question. All right, just to recap, you will only be allowed to answer once. So if your answer is wrong, you can't answer anymore. The next person will answer it. So next question. Why are action details important? Recall, what are action details? 1, it guides the receiver on the next course of action. It makes it easier to respond to the email. The sender knows what to do next. The receiver will stop responding. action details, why are they important? Only once per person. Lin PK Chin. Okay, Lin said it guides the receiver on the next course of action. And then PK Chin said the sender know what to do next. Okay, what is the answer? This is very close, very, very close. Why are action details important? Action details important. The answer is, PK Chin, you are correct. The sender knows what to do next. The sender knows what to do next. Okay, congratulations, PK Chin. The sender knows what to do next. It's very close, all right? It's very, very close. Okay, next. Why it is helpful to be time specific. Remember MAT. It makes the instruction clearer. The receiver can set own deadline and accomplish the task in time to develop better understanding between the sender and the receiver to overcome confusion. I want the closest answer to this. They can be very close. Yes, Lin, congratulations. Right, you're the first one and the answer is correct. The receiver can set own deadline and accomplish the task in time. That is why time specific is very important. Avoid vague terms like immediately, soon as possible, because the receiver does not know when to set her own deadline. Okay, all right. PK Chin, your answer is correct, but you could not type fast. Understand that? Okay, all right. Another option, PK Chin, you can type PK Chin Lin. If you can't type fast, you can just type green, purple, or pink. Okay, we accept that as well. Just type the color. Okay, question number 6. Get ready. It's gonna get even more challenging. How can this sentence be written in a better way? We will not be able to provide the needed details to you as our manager is out of town. We will not be able to provide the needed details to you as our manager is out of town. This is changing the way the receiver feel. How can we write it in a better way? We will provide the needed details to you once our manager is in, Lin. We will provide the needed details to you by August 23rd. Oh, both of you got the answers right, but it has to go to Lin because Lin is the first one to give an answer. Congratulations, Lin. PK Chin, your answer is correct as well. It's correct. It's just that you're the second one after Lin. But both of you got it right for this. Congratulations, Lin and PK Chin, but it will go to PK and Lin for this question. Okay, question number 7. Okay, you're gonna be fast again. How can this sentence sound more positive? As we are running out of time, please submit the needed documents, ... As we are running out of time, please submit the needed documents, ... Make it sound more positive. We are running out of time. Appreciate you can submit the needed documents to us by this afternoon. I'm going to give some more time for other participants to try. How can we make it sound more positive? So Lillian has given her answer. I believe PK Chin is on the way typing. So let's allow PK Chin to type out first. It doesn't need to be a long one. I would appreciate if you could expedite and submit by this. Congratulations, PK Chin. Your answer is correct. To Lin, what is wrong over here is we don't want to have as we are running out of time. It sounds pushy to the person. All right. So instead of saying, as we are running out of time, get rid of that. Straight away say, I would appreciate if you could expedite the matter and submit it by this evening, immediately, or else. Oh no. All right. That's even worse, Gurmeet. All right. Congratulations, PK Chin. You got it right this time. Get rid of as we are running out of time. That is not needed. Okay. Next, question number 8. Almost, all right? Both of you are catching up. Both of you are doing really well. Now, why it is helpful to use active sentence over passive sentence? Two reasons. Why it is helpful to use active sentence over passive sentence? Two reasons. Recall. Shorter and easier according to Lin Lin. PK Chin, only shorter. The answer is yes. Congratulations, Lin Lin. Shorter and easier. It is natural on our tongue. Okay. PK Chin, you're almost there. One more. The answer is it is easier for everyone to understand and to read it. Okay. Congratulations, Lin Lin. This round goes to you. Question number 8. Now, question number 9 is going to get a little bit more challenging. How repeating keywords help to make the email writing process easier and simpler? I just need you to give 1 point. How repeating keywords help to make the email writing process easier and simpler? Okay, so Lin Lin says easier to recognize and connect. Any answer from PK? We just give a little bit more time for PK. Pass. Okay, Lin Lin, you got it right. Excellent. Good memory. Yes, it allows the sender to recognize what he has mentioned earlier, and it is easier for both of you to connect, and the person will feel that you are following up closely with the email. Congratulations, Lin Lin. You got it exactly right for this. And the last one. Last one here is, how can we increase collaboration and positive emotion via email? Objective question. How can we increase collaboration and positive emotion via email? Use expressive style according to PK Chin. Let's see what Lin Lin has got to say for this. Use more emojis according to Gurmeet. that increase positive emotion, but not collaboration. Okay, let's see if Lin Lin repeat keywords. Okay, this time it goes to PK Chin. Right, okay. Good memory, PK Chin. Use expressive styles. For example, use motivating and appreciation language. Offer a solution instead of stating the problem. Use positive tone and avoiding negative tone. It's not tone, all right? So all those show that you are being expressive. Good job, PK Chin. Finally, the last question, and this is the end. So Gurmeet, not Gurmeet. So Christopher, do we need a tiebreaker? I think.
No, we have a clear winner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And I will tabulate the winner.
Okay.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, Z, I think you need to unshare. Okay.
All right.
Okay, can you see my screen, Z?
Not yet.
Okay, now? Okay. Can you see my
Yes.
screen?
That's right.
So the winners goes to Lim Lin Ling. So
Congratulations. Good try, PK Chin. Congratulations, Lin Lin. Almost there. PK Chin, almost there. Right. Good job, both of you. Amazing. Oh, all right. Christopher, I've got a file to share.
I beg your pardon?
I've got a file to share with everyone.
Oh, okay. I'm going to unshare it.
No. I'm going to share it into the chat.
Okay.
All right, so whatever that we have learned today, I have summarized them into a one-pager, 60 minutes of learning. Let me share with you, okay? Okay, now, just in case you're afraid that you might forget whatever that you have learned today, not to worry, because we have prepared a one-pager summary of what we have learned today. So go through the file, click on it, recap on whatever that we have learned, and don't forget to apply it the next time you start writing your email. You have got to change the way you're writing your email if you want to get response, faster response, more favorable response in your coming emails. With that, thank you very much for joining me. And I'll pass the floor back to our amazing and hardworking Christopher Nicholas from SpeakRight.